You don't have too many guys who were used too much during the 3 games against the Royals. Plus, you had the 3 games against the Giants. It's just a lot of games in a row. And I mean, you could not have scripted this series better for the Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, hello.
Big win followed by great defensive play. Gotta love to see it, right?
Not just a win, a sweep. You got to love that. After losing a series to the Giants, the Yankees make the Royals look pedestrian in 3 games. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when those videos go live. On today's show, we preview the series with the Rays, which starts tonight. It's a 4-game series down in Steinbrenner Field. That'll be interesting to see the Yankees as the road team in their home spring training stadium. We're going to talk about how the AL East is pretty meh so far. Mediocre. We'll discuss that. But first, what a game. This turned into an exciting game. Could have been annoying. Could have been one of those like letdown games after winning the first 2 in the series. And then it turned into a really good game with a very amazing play at the end, which, dare I say, Juan Soto probably would not have made.
Juan Soto wouldn't have gotten to that ball, for sure. It was a good win. It was a really good win for them to complete a sweep against a good baseball team. The Royals are not a pushover. They're a good team. They're struggling out of the gate so far, but like we said earlier, we're going to discuss later on, everybody in the American League is struggling out of the gate so far. There's nobody that's playing well. So yeah, overall, it's been that really was a fantastic win all around. I mentioned this on the show that I did last night. This is how they're going to have to win games. This is not last year's offense where they're going to be mashing the ball. I know it felt that way after the first weekend, but that's not what this team is. They're not going to win games by scoring 20 runs. They're going to win games by scoring 3 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs in games and getting great pitching and playing really good defense, which quite frankly, those are teams that win titles, not teams like last year that score a lot of runs and play awful defense. Those aren't the teams that win. So overall, the way that they played last night with Clarke Schmidt giving you a really, really quality start, especially in his first start back, that's an unbelievable performance out of him that we'll get into. And in the bullpen being as good as it's been, Cruz looks unhittable so far this year, legitimately. Overall, this is exactly the way they're going to need to win games.
Yeah, this series went exactly the way you wanted it to go because you were a little afraid of the Cookie Carrasco start, which actually went much better than everyone thought it would.
Yeah.
You didn't really overuse the bullpen, which set up the game on Wednesday where Clarke Schmidt, in his debut, pitches into the 6th inning, and then you just have Leiter Jr. and Cruz pitch, which this is perfect leading into the 4-game set against Tampa. So you don't have too many guys who were used too much during the 3 games against the Royals. Plus, you had the 3 games against the Giants. It's just a lot of games in a row. And I mean, you could not have scripted this series better for the Yankees.
No, and let's be honest, we both thought that if Clarke Schmidt gets you into the 4th, bravo, clap your hands. We thought this game was gonna their Thursday night game, the Wednesday night game. We both thought they were gonna have to really, really save the bullpen for that game. That it was gonna take a lot out of the bullpen, and that's not what happened at all. He pitched really well. They needed Cruz to get to end that game for them in the last 2 innings, get the save, and he was again phenomenal. Again, like you said, this is exactly how they're gonna want to win games. It is. Really good defense, timely hitting. And then you know what? At times, that's how good teams win, right? You need your superstar player to pick you up at the right time. And that's what Aaron Judge did. After that was his first home run. He leads the league in baseball in home runs right now. And he just went 10 games without homering. Think about that. He went 10 games in how many games have they played this year? Like 19? And he went 10 games without homering, and how he leads the league in home runs again. It's insane.
I would like to amend something. I
Sure.
joked about Schmidt making it into the 6th, even though we weren't sure what his pitch count would be. He made it into the 6th, 5 2/3 innings on 73 pitches. So I would like to brag about that. Thank you very much.
We both said somewhere to 70 to 75 pitches is the range they're going to want to have him in.
Yeah.
They weren't going to go over that. But
no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better than what that. We've been saying it all week, Stacey. He's become a catalyst for them. I don't think when he came up, he was not nearly sought after like the other, again, litany of Yankee pitching prospects we have been hearing about for the last decade. And it's been a name after name after name of guys that are going to come up and pitch well, and these highly touted. And has a single one of them, other than Luis Gil, really performed up to their capability? I guess Luis Severino, you could say too, right? But Other than that, none of these highly touted pitching prospects coming out of their system have at all been what the Yankees thought they were going to be. And Clarke Schmidt, who no one was talking about, who came up as a reliever, all of a sudden has been an unbelievable bright spot out of their starting rotation. And now this year, I mean, he's their number 3. He's a big pitcher for them so far. So they're going to need it. They're going to need him big time.
So 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Not exactly dominating, just the start you need. Nearly 6 innings, 3 runs, quality start. We'll call it a quality start. Not bad for his debut at all. Also, the beard kind of shocked me because at first I didn't even see it because it kind of blends in with the skin. And then I saw it close up. I was like, oh, I didn't realize he had a beard. So I think it was like the 3rd or 4th inning.
I will mention, speaking of facial hair, because some guys rock it and some guys really don't. The Mark Leiter Jr. goatee. Your thoughts?
I think he'd look better with a full beard.
Yeah, it doesn't. The goatee doesn't work on his face.
Yeah,
he's got too much of a face, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
where the goatee it makes his mouth look extra small.
Yeah, like if he has a full beard, it's better. If he has no beard, it's okay. But the goatee, kind of it focuses in on the fact that it's because I don't have a big mouth either. I mean, I do, but I don't physically.
Yeah, well, that's
what I mean. Offensive stats. So we got Bellinger, who's slowly ticking up there. What is he batting? Like 185 now? Ooh.
Yeah, he's having a Mark Teixeira April.
He's getting higher. Volpe, who I trashed to my friends the other night because we were arguing about Volpe and Peraza and the whole thing.
Huge hit.
And since I was saying bad things about Volpe, he's had a couple of hits, and that was a big one. You know, Judge with the home run. So Judge is now batting .409. Yes, it's early, with a 1322 OPS.
Stupid numbers.
They
made a point. They made a point too during the broadcast, which it needs to be said, because Yankee fans were freaking out on social media that he had gone 10 games without a home run. And we've made this point over the last year or so. It's crazy that when Judge goes, first of all, any period of time he goes out a home run, when people freak out, it's comical compared to what other guys go without a home run, but that's besides the point.
Right.
When Aaron Judge isn't hitting a home run, he doesn't become what most power hitters become, where he's non-existent out there.
Right, he's like not striking out every 5 seconds. He's still hitting the ball. He's working walks, or he's being intentionally walked by
Stacey. In the last 10 games, without him hitting a home run, he was hitting .475.
Yeah,
he still hits. He's just you lose track of words. He's a remarkable player. He really is.
Like the change from his first year, and we've talked about, many people have talked about the fact that the low strike has been called on him since the beginning of his career. It's gotten a little better, but it still gets called every once in a while. But if you think about all the strikeouts that he had in his rookie season, how many of them wouldn't have been strikeouts if some of those balls or pitches were called the right way? He's become the type of player. He's so good at everything, right? Because you need to underestimate what he does on the bases as well. He runs the bases well. He plays good defense. He has a good eye. He lays off terrible pitches, usually. Like if he's in a slump, he has a little bit of an issue with that. But for the most part, this is a big dude who hits the ball well in all facets of the game. It's not just the power hitting.
They made a point on the broadcast, and it was great, where a lot of older fans will say they never thought they'd see a player like Mickey Mantle ever again that just dominates every aspect of the game, and they're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it looks like. This is what an all-time first ballot Hall of Fame talent looks like at its prime. This is exactly what it looks like. I mean, we should really take a second sometimes to just cherish it, because you don't see these kind of players. We talk about in Yankee lore, and there's reason for it with how great Derek Jeter it was, and his legend obviously is built a lot on his postseason performances, and Aaron Judge doesn't necessarily have that matching with it. But when you look at numbers, and you're not talking all-time great Yankees, you're talking all-time great baseball players, Aaron Judge completely leaps over what Derek Jeter was as a baseball player, and that's not a knock on Derek Jeter. Right. But, I mean, look at the numbers that Aaron Judge puts up in an era when it is a lot harder to hit. The averages around baseball are all dramatically lower than they ever were in Jeter's era. And I mean, Judge's numbers are it's outrageous how good he's been. It really is. It's incredible.
So here is a list, because every time Judge does something, there's a list, and he's on with really good Yankees. And you already mentioned one. Yankees with 375 plus average, 7+ home runs through 18 team games. Babe Ruth in 1921, he had 9 and a 397 average. Lou Gehrig in 1929, he had 7 with a 388 average. Mickey Mantle, the aforementioned Mickey Mantle, 1956. Look up 1956 Mickey Mantle. I did a piece on that year because the numbers are just mind-blowing. He was batting .424, had 9 home runs. Alex Rodriguez, 2007, 400 average, 14 home runs through 18 games.
Which is stupid. Think about that. That's a video game.
Yeah. And then you have Aaron Judge, 409 with 7 home runs. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades, and signings. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. So we talked about something good, Aaron Judge. Coming up, we're going to talk about how mediocre the AL East has been so far. Next.
Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. There's no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to Avode. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all available on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. And I gotta be honest, watching sports is easier than ever with the Fire TV Stick. I got one hooked up on my TV downstairs. I can flip back and forth between the Yankee game, between the hockey games that are going on, between the basketball playing games that are going on. Everything is available all at the click of a button. It's never been more convenient than with the Fire TV Stick. So here's what you got to do. You're going to head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by Game Time. And guys, there's nothing better than catching a Major League Baseball game live. There's the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of all the new ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as game times get closer, meaning you could score incredible deals all day long. Game Time is also the official ticketing partner of Locked On. And if I want to head to Yankee Stadium, I can count on them to help grab me tickets that meet my needs. I'm going to a game into Saturdays with all of my friends, a bunch of people that we really care about. And it's great because the tickets were all bought on Game Time. We got a ton of tickets in one section. It was all made so easy by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code one word LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Those fans get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. The link is in our description. So, Stacey, for years we've heard the classic joke of the AL Least when the AL East struggles. Well, can you call it the AL mediocre? Because that's what the division has been so far. In fact, the entire American League has been mediocre so far. There really has been no one that stood out throughout the entire division or the entire, what do you want to call it, conference league, whatever they call it in baseball. No one's been good, but particularly in the American League East, no one's running away with it. The Yankees are in first place currently with, not as staggering of a record as I think other people thought they'd have at this point, especially with the way the first series started out. They're currently 11-7. They're at the top of the division. Right behind them is the Blue Jays at 11-8. They're a half game back because they've played that extra game. But overall, look at the standings. The worst team in the American League right now is the Baltimore Orioles, who we kind of complained about coming in, the fact that they didn't have pitching. And guess what? Shocker to everybody out there in the league, they are struggling with pitching. They can't stop people from scoring runs. Who would have thought? Maybe they should have invested in their rotation. Something they decided not to do because the Orioles can't stop anybody from scoring runs on them, which is going to be a major problem because now you have a lot of players on offense too. They're kind of entering their sophomore slumps, if you'll call it. They're not in a good spot. And, it does beg the question more from what we were asking. How did this happen? How were they so good and so young, so ready to strike when the iron's hot? And now they're in last place. It's very early, but they're in last place in the American League East. They can't stop anybody from scoring on them. They're 3-4 at home. They're 4-6 on the road. Their run differential is -1. They've scored 78. They've given up 79. I'm not going to sit here and make any declarations yet. Again, the Atlanta Braves are 8 games under 500. And I think we all think they'll be fine. But Stacey, early on, this is only proving that what we were complaining about in the offseason couldn't be more accurate when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, like you said, it's early, but if this is a preview of how the next few months are going to go for the Orioles, it's just going to prove that everyone was correct and that they had a terrible offseason. And it wasn't that they lost Corbin Burnes because, as we said ad nauseum, he wanted to go home to Arizona. Fine. Yeah. Why weren't you in on anyone else? Why weren't they in on Juan Soto? We talked about this so many times. They have new ownership. They have young players. This team was set up for success until at least 2030, 2031, given the core of the team and the resources they have because of how good the farm system was. We're now in 2025.
Yep.
You have instances where they're swept out of the playoffs. They don't even show up in the playoffs when they're in the wild card series. And you don't make the team better. With the new ownership, why did you get the team if you weren't going to spend money this offseason? And why would you give the fans hope and make them think you're going to do something? And this is the same guy who was giving himself his own bobblehead this season.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, and it's not a good sign. Just quickly running through the other teams because the Rays are having this problem too with not being able to stop teams from scoring. Now they're scoring too, but it has been proven that George Steinbrenner Field is playing like a minor league park, which is what it is.
Right.
Teams are mashing the ball out of that stadium. The Rays have scored 81 runs this season so far. I mean, they're crushing the ball out there, and it's because in that hotter Florida weather too, the ball flies out of that ballpark outdoors. And, I'm assuming you're going to see a lot of runs out of the Yankees this weekend when they go there. This is going to be a tough year for them if they're not going to be able to pitch to an effective level because while they're scoring a lot, and that's great, they're also giving up a lot of runs. So they're currently 8-10 on the year. The Red Sox, the Orioles are 7-10. Again, no one's gonna bury themselves yet at this point, and also no one's gonna prove themselves yet at this point. But that's going to be a troubling thing for Tampa this year. If they're not going to be able to pitch at an elite strikeout level, they're going to struggle to beat teams because teams are just going to go in there and gnash all day.
Yeah. I would like to say that I thought it was extremely hilarious. I had a big laugh this weekend when the Red Sox broadcasters were basically making fun of the White Sox for how bad they were, and then the White Sox beat them up. That game, they beat them up 11-1.
Stacey, it's worse than that. They almost swept them.
No, I know, but that one game in particular, they're like, oh, the White Sox have lost 8 in a row. They're continuing where they left off last season. You have Chapman blow a game in that series. It was just like chef's kiss, fantastic.
To me, that's the most surprising story out of the American League East so far, and I think a lot of people thought the Red Sox would be good, including the two of us.
They probably will be.
Stacey, they're 10-10. They're not playing well. Their run differential again is they've scored 86 runs. They've given up 97 runs. They've given up a lot of runs this year too. And the problem with them is, again, going into that White Sox series, you heard some Red Sox players making comments about how bad the White Sox are. And let's not get it twisted here. The White Sox are terrible, but the Red Sox dropped the first 2 games of that series and then almost lost the third game of that series. It was behind a Garrett Crochet. He took a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and they still almost lost the game. The White Sox came back late in that game and almost beat them. So the Red Sox are really not playing well. It's actually got people talking that Alex Cora could be on the hot seat, and I don't think he is, and I don't think they're going to make a change like that. But Stacey, for a year coming in with expectations where they made a lot of improvements to that team, to be coming out of the gate this poor, that's not a good sign either. They're not playing good baseball, and I think you got a lot out of them last year. You didn't think that no one thought they were going to be as good as they were last year. They wound up being a pleasant surprise, but they're 10-10, but they're a meek 10-10. They are not a good looking baseball team right now. And that's a surprise to everybody, I think.
Yeah. Again, as we said, it's early. I don't think they're going to play this bad once. I think they're waiting for a couple of people to come back. Right? Because I think Liam Hendricks isn't there yet.
No, he's currently rehabbing in
rehabbing. And, some guys have to kind of acclimate themselves because there are a lot of new guys there. They got Walker Buehler. They got Crochet. Chapman.
Trevor Story is pretty much new, too, because, he missed all of last year.
Barely ever played, yeah. It's interesting to see how it is. And like you said, the whole AL, there's no one really running away. At least in the NL West, you have a couple of teams like the Padres and the Giants who have gotten off to crazy starts, where in the AL, you don't really have that, where most of the teams who are leading in the divisions are like the Yankees, 11-7, 10-7. Just, it's not like they're not there's no one pulling away yet in any of the divisions. And I said it all. I said it in the before the season started. I don't think anyone's running away with the AL East. I don't think they'll be mediocre the whole time, but I don't think anyone's going to really run away with the AL East.
The winner of this division, to me, the winner of this division wins the division by under 4 games.
Oh yeah, it's going to be.
That's
close.
How close it's going to be.
There's going to be teams bunched up together. There's going to be where people kind of hope for chaos at the end of the season. It probably will happen in the AL East. Someone will ultimately finish on top, but for the last month, I think it could be one of those last months where we're all stressed out.
let me just let you know of some of these crazy things around the rest of the American League too. So the Central, I don't know if anyone's really worried about it, but they have the Twins and the White Sox in that division. Now the White Sox are 4-12, the Twins are 7-12, but that's a positive 7-12, because if you watch the Twins play so far, they're putrid. They're really bad too. The fact that they're 7-12 is an accomplishment.
Yeah, they've been bad.
Detroit's good. I think their pitching is good. They're a good team. And Cleveland's. I don't think anyone's really afraid of American League Central team until they win a series in the postseason. Who's that afraid of the American League Central? The American League West, who I think everyone thought the Texas Rangers would be good, and they're currently in first place in that division. But LA was ahead of them for a bit. They've been battling back and forth. Stacey, not a single team in the American League West has a run differential that's in the positive. Think about that. All 5 teams in the division, the Rangers are -15, the Angels are -7, Seattle's -6, Houston's -4, the Athletics are -15. And it's crazy. All these teams are below run differential. Want to see even crazier, though? If you combine the American League Central and West, there is one team with a positive run differential. That's the Detroit Tigers at plus 14. Everybody else in the Central has a negative run differential. Everybody else in the West has a negative run differential. The Yankees are one of 4 teams in the American League with a positive run differential. And get it this, Toronto's got plus 4. Tampa's got plus 14. Detroit has plus 14. The Yankees' run differential is plus 24. That's a really good sign so far because generally when you look at teams and how good they actually are, run differential is a very, very key stat toward the end of the year. That's a big place for the Yankees to have a lead in so far.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Coming up, previewing the series between the Yankees and the Rays in Steinbrenner Field next.
Baseball season's finally in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks. It's the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on a single two-player projection, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first-inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game exciting, and you can build your lineup whenever you want. This week, I'm picking Shohei Ohtani to have more than one stolen base, and I'm going to go over on Max Fried's strikeout prop because he's been good for that in every start so far. If you hit both of those, you win. It's that easy. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds. And when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. And PrizePicks also has exclusive promos. I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday personally. But where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections, there's even more value. So download the app today and use code ONEWORD-LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONEWORD-LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And guys, not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single Yankees game. Check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. You can get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. Stacey, 2 in a row, 2 Amazon Prime games in a row. Game 1 of the Yankees-Rays series from George Steinbrenner Field will be played on Thursday night. Amazon Prime, Will Warren will get the start. He's 1-0 with a 5.14 ERA, but a more encouraging start for him in the last start that he had. Lower the ERA a little bit, but if he can give you a quality start, they should be able to take care of business. He'll go up against Taj Bradley, who's 2-0 with a 3.71 ERA, right in the sweet spot where the Yankees like to struggle. Like we said, Steinbrenner Field so far has been an absolute barn burner for teams. They have gone down there and hit the cover off the ball, and it's got nothing to do with torpedo bats. The Rays are hitting really well. Opposing teams are going there hitting well. There's been one game played so far at Steinbrenner Field where the under has hit in that game. That's how crazy it's been. The ball's flying out of that ballpark. And Michael K made a great point. It's only going to get worse as the summer hits. When it starts getting hotter and they're playing outdoors in Tampa, I mean, they're going to score a lot of runs in that ballpark.
It's going to be like London, the London series.
Yes. Oh,
every game's going to be like that.
That was crazy. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. It's wild. Game 2 will be on Yes also. Carlos Rodon will get that start. He's 1-3 with a 5.48 ERA. This is going to frustrate me all year because for some reason it feels like Carlos Rodon's ERA is going to float higher than it needs to be all year. And it's going to aggravate me all year because all year I'm going to make the point of, if you've watched the games, his ERA should not be where it actually is. Because that's what he's going to be all year. You can tell he's going to be this guy where Yankees had a pitcher like this. I think it was last year, the year before, where it was one bad inning, a couple of bad pitches, but the ERA and overall, if you take out those 1 or 2 bad pitches, is in the 2s or the 1s. That's how crazy it is. Because Carlos Rodon is going to be that. We've seen, if you look at a recent interview with Aaron Boone, the interviewers approached him and asked basically, what is it with Carlos Rodon? Why is it one pitch that seems to unravel him and this happens? And it's funny because after the game when they spoke to the San Francisco Giants, the Giants players basically gave the same response of, yeah, this is what Rodon does. He one thing happens and he loses it. So this is a common theme. Of course, Aaron Boone defended Rodon, said he doesn't do that. He doesn't get in his own head, whatever. But yeah, this is going to be what it's going to be like with Rodon. I feel like all year, Stacey. It just feels like it's going to be one of those years where one thing happens, he has one or two bad pitches in a game, and the rest of the game he's an ace. It's very frustrating to watch stuff like that. It really is.
Yeah, so he's facing Drew Rasmussen, who has a 0.16 ERA. He's 1-0. Carlos Carrasco, 2-1 with a 5.94 ERA against Shane Baz, who is 2-0 with a 1.42 ERA. So those two haven't been affected by Steinbrenner Field yet.
No.
And then you have Max Fried, the ace. So far this season, the Yankees are 4-0 in his starts. He's 3-0 overall with a 1.98 ERA. Very nice.
Incredible.
Against Ryan Pepio, who is 1-2 with a 4.91 ERA. So he's having a bit of
It is kind of frustrating before we close out here that the Yankees have one pitcher with an ERA like that. That's like crazy good at 1.98. Yet every team they play has multiple guys with ERAs that are still under one. It's very frustrating.
Chris Bubich last night came into the game with a very low ERA. He escaped it with a very low ERA, even though they scored 3 runs off him. He escaped with a 1.88 ERA.
Wild.
So this is the first time the Yankees are playing a division rival all season after playing 3 NL teams and 2 AL Central teams.
Weird.
Because
I don't like it.
That's just the way the schedule is, I guess. I don't know. I haven't even looked at the schedule. Like, really, I just see like the upcoming games, but I haven't like studied how everything is broken down and who they're playing. But, we'll do that later in the season because as we spoke about the AL East, that last month of the season is going to be very important. And especially depending on who they're playing in that last month, if there's head to head in the division, if there's not, and they're playing some team from like the NL Central, that could be something different too. So we'll talk about that later.
They get a lot more the rest of the month. They have this series, they get the Blue Jays, and they get the Orioles later in the month. So they get a lot more divisional rivals.
Cool. Good. Because it feels abnormal for them to not have games against division rivals early on. All right. Coming up tomorrow, it's Fan Mail Friday. Can you believe it? You ask us your burning Yankee questions. We try to answer them to the best of our ability. So make sure you leave those questions for us. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.